we're live! Whoa! And we have return of one of our favorite alum, co-moderators, co-producers, and all-around badass dude, Dr. Jonathan Singer. Zing is with us. He's back in the house today. This time, he's full-on beardy.
It's exciting to be back here on SPSM.
Hey, here's a little secret. Here's a general little tip. If you're doing something that you don't want people to know about, there's a good chance that what you're doing is jacked off.
And I have always thought of this from the point of view of preventing violence in schools, like school shootings or things like that.
If kids have due information, if they're notified that in fact we are monitoring you, then they will change their behavior. They will create accounts that you don't know about.
I had been asked about, like, well, what if we start monitoring social media for kids who are talking about suicide, non-suicide, self-injury, mental health conditions?
And I have one question for Jonathan Singer, and that is, are children indeed people?
Yes, they're just little adults.
Oh my God!
But then kids are taking the devices home or logging on at home, and the schools continue to monitor them.
What is it that the companies are doing with the data?
When we are giving kids devices and we're monitoring those, there needs to be fairly significant informed consent.
But I think this is the bigger question, right? What is it that we do with this information?
Then there's the question of which adults are responsible for dealing with whatever the situation is. Is it a combination of student parents and faculty, or how does that work?
What if we find out that 40% of kids are making statements that are indicating suicide risk?
What is an informed consent like? What are the ethics of this? There is no standard, not legally, not ethically, not professionally, not in the education system. People are just doing it.
What does it mean for us to get a fuller picture or a more accurate picture of what's going on in the lives of kids?
I have huge concerns about the level of authority and responsibility we're putting on government agencies.
Ideally, school staff and parents will be on the same page.
And I think that this idea that our schools need to make our kids' life safer, both at school and outside of school, is starting to step into an area that I find absolutely terrifying, to be quite honest.
If you're monitoring social media, there's just more data.
Especially if we get someone to create a tool that is youth developed and youth run.
You know, schools do lots of things they don't tell parents about.
Good models are validated models. So there's science involved. When you create a model to detect something, there's science involved in that.
That's not a signal, that's noise, man.
And we need to put pressure on these private companies to make sure they're not screwing over students and that they're not doing things that can damage them in the future.
Quantify.com.
You got a big old machine learning tool that you use, and we all know about it.
We got dozens of them.
So
There really needs to be some white papers on like what the ethics of this are, what the informed consent looks like.
I'm not a big fan of giving any government agencies any leeway in the lives of my kids or anybody else's kids until they can demonstrate exactly what they're doing and there's open transparency and we know exactly what's going on.
There need to be some legal writings about it, quite honestly.
What are the words that kids are saying? How are they communicating suicide risk?
We probably need to be presenting on this in our fields, talking about where appropriate or good uses of this in school suicide prevention policies and planning.
Whatever that looks like on the back end, if it's machine learning, if it's artificial intelligence, whatever you want to call it, and we can identify it, like we should be doing that.
We need to get our asses in gear.